So this has got to stop. Apparently, I'm the world's biggest Travon Walker hater because this is getting out of hand. First off, welcome to the Weekly Huddle, covering a bunch of NFL draft stuff right around now, this time of year, and usually year-round. But I was just listening to the draft dudes contextualizing the Edge class episode of their podcast, and they had Travon Walker graded as like an 86 in overall grades, which is like 3 points off of Kayvon Thibodeau. Which also they had Aiden Hutchinson graded 5 points higher than Kayvon. They are 4 or 5 points, something like that, higher than Kayvon Thibodeau. I didn't agree with a lot of what they said, but they were admitted they had like Travon Walker 86 and a half of a draft grade. And I looked at BetOnline, and this is what really set me off and got me kind of fired up. He has the second best draft odds to be the first overall pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And there was a report saying that they're not totally rolling out Walker at number 1 overall, and I've seen Walker as edge number 2 off the board behind Hutchinson, edge number 1. Now, apparently, if he goes number 1 overall, potentially no lower than a top 10 pick, and I can't stand for it no more. I don't hate Travon Walker. For the Dynasty Index, which is what I work on with Kill Pro, Caleb, I do the defensive players and the O-line. Just because he has other ventures going on, or other ventures he's doing, he's a working man, and he doesn't have time to get around to all the other stuff. So I've taken the brunt of the load because I'm just a psycho like that. It is 12:10 a.m. and I've taken a break from doing schoolwork to do this to then go to work at 6 a.m. That's because and then I'm probably gonna do some more player profiles after this. I'm a psycho, so I do all the edge class, all edge players. Looking at my edge players on the Dynasty Index, I'm not going to pull it up on screen because you got to pay money to see that. I'm kidding, but not. Go check out the Dynasty Index while I'm pulling this up. Just real quick little ad. Go check it out. I'm like I said, I'm very proud of it. I put a lot of hard work into it. And for the Dynasty Index, I originally started out, the most positions I had scouted was the edge rushing class. And I remember when Travon Walker was like it was a second round pick. He was in like the mid 40s for a lot of places like Matt Miller and the Draft Network and all these places. I was like, okay, well, I got to hit him next. This was earlier on in the season. And then I reviewed him and I was like, oh, this is like a third round player. He's got some good athleticism on tape. He shows some good burst, but at the same time, he wasn't really asked to do any like straight up rushing. He was more of the stunt guy where he'd been the one to stunt inside where they went and they sent their athletic tackles on the outside, or they had a different edge rusher line up in the middle, or Nakobe Dean, he'd stunt outwards, let Nakobe Dean have a free rusher to the quarterback because he's a good blitzer. So I was just like, okay, this guy's good. I compared him to a more athletic Shaq Lawson. Like he was a lot more athletic than Shaq Lawson, but his game was he's a strong base end, can play the run D real well, has strong arms, and has athleticism that he shows off in his stunts and things like that on blitzes. But he wasn't like a straight-up pass rusher. So I'm like, okay, he's more athletic. Shaq Lawson, he'll get you like 6, 7, maybe he caps out at 8 sacks a season, but he's a solid run defender. I'd draft him in the third round, play on the upside, maybe get him to like a 9-sack area if he's not your primary rusher. Then, now he's a first-round pick. Then he's a top 20 player. He's a top 10 player. Now he's the first overall pick. Second favorite only to Aiden Hutchinson for first overall pick. Why? I went back and rewatched him. I don't get it. I don't see where anybody else is coming from. I rewatched him. I graded him. He is now graded out as my, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My 9th edge rusher on my board. 9! He still is a round 2 grade. He is a round 2 grade, and he's my 9th edge rusher. I think, how close is he to the next guy? They might even be tied. So you could, 81 for Cameron Thomas. Travon Walker, 79. So he's 2 points behind the next closest guy in the second round. So, as a first overall pick, out of the question. No. I have him as a second round pick. If he's taken above guys I have ahead of him, so these are the guys I have ahead of him. Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously. I'll get into that in a second. Aiden Hutchinson, again, obviously. George Karlaftis, David Ojabo, Jermaine Johnson. Some people who are higher on those guys but are still high on Travon Walker may agree with those 5 being ahead of him. But then some will argue like Karlaf, this is very scheme specific, and I'll understand that. David Ojabo, injury history, I get it. But then I got like guys like Drake Jackson, who even though he didn't have the best 2021 season, showed a lot of flashes in 2020. Didn't really do awful in 2021. He just never didn't build on 2020. Myjai Sanders, who played great for Cincinnati in 2021, kind of fell off the map for some people. I'm not sure why. He's a little late in his testing. His offseason has been a little weird, but like I'm looking past that. I'm just grading the tape, and on tape, Myjai is better than Travon Walker. I might have to go back and rewatch a little bit of Myjai, but like he's good on tape. I don't know what to tell you. And then Cameron Thomas, who is more of that. His biggest knack, he's a big-bodied guy who could rush from the interior as a 3-tech D-tackle, who can be the strong guy on the outside, kind of like I comped him to AJ Epinesa, where like he's this bigger guy who can rush from the outside but also reduce down inside and rush. But he doesn't have the run defending chops or the football IQ in the run defense like Epinesa did or some of the other guys do. Then it's Travon Walker, 2 points behind Cameron Thomas. Now I see a pathway, and I just watched that franchise guy's his first round mock draft. He put up round 2. I haven't gotten to it yet, but his first round mock draft, he had Travon Walker going 30th to the Chiefs, and it was after they had already taken Jermaine Johnson at 29. And his reasoning was, oh, I'm lower on Travon but he's super athletic. If you want to draft him, have Jermaine be your starter next to Frank Clark. Let Walker, season up behind Clark and take over from next season. I can see that. I can see, because like I said, I have him as a second round pick. If you want to draft him and stash him as like this highly athletic, because his testing numbers are insane. If you want to just draft him and stash him as like a highly athletic but developmental defensive end who maybe give you some a little bit of work on rundowns, but who's super raw as a pass rusher, has no pass rush moves outside of like blitzing and stunting and trying to get the edge, but he doesn't have that much bend. Like I don't like him as a bender around the edge. That's a late round pick. That's a late first round pick. Sorry, not late round. Late first round pick. If you want to take someone with high athletic upside who's more raw, like a Greg Rousseau, that's where you take him. At the end of the first, that's another good comp for him, is like a Greg Rousseau, who was super athletic and had all the measurables, but didn't really have a lot of pass rush acumen. So like that's where I draft. True, I wouldn't be mad if you took him with like 25, anywhere between 25 and 32. I would not be mad. If you took him top 10, I have questions. If you took him top 3 edge rushers, I'd be like, okay, maybe somebody's super high on him because like they got a whole scouting staff. They know what they're looking for. They're professionals. And they like his athletic upside. He's got a great offseason. Maybe that's what bumps him up past like a Karlaftis or Jermaine Johnson. But you cannot, in good faith, tell me he's a better pick than Kayvon Thibodeau. Walker, as a pass rusher, like I said, he's raw. Doesn't have that much pass rush moves. But he's great athletically. You know who else is great athletically? Kayvon Thibodeau. And he had, even though his biggest knock for me is probably his lack of an expansive pass rush moves list, especially counters. Like, he's improved on that. And he's way more, I think, on tape, more physically dominant than Travon Walker was. Travon Walker benefited from playing on the best college defense we've ever seen. And Kayvon Thibodeau was just dominant overall on a defense that wasn't nearly as good, but he showed equally as good, if not greater, athletic traits on tape with more further along pass rushing. And you want to tell me Travon Walker is going to be a number 1 overall pick over him, and even over Aiden Hutchinson, who, even though he doesn't have the ceiling of KT, even Travon Walker, even though Travon Walker, his ceiling's probably not even bigger than like David Ojabo's. But anyway, I'm getting off track. You want to take him over Aiden Hutchinson, who is like the best day 1 starter edge rusher you can get out of this draft class. Even though his ceiling isn't as high, he's already there. He's already at a Pro Bowl level talent coming out of college. So why would you draft Travon Walker, this toolsy, super athlete who is not going to impact as a pass rusher year 1, over Hutchinson if you need pass rush help? Like, if you're the Jags or the Lions who need an immediate day 1 pass rusher, you take Hutchinson, right? If you want a guy who has athletic traits who can be better than Hutchinson down the road, you take Kayvon Thibodeau. Why would you not take Thibodeau over Walker? What is the argument? Athleticism? They're, if anything, equal athletes. Just because Travon Walker tested amazing, I don't even think KT tested because he was like, I put all that athleticism on tape. I was playing stack linebacker on tape, and I was still able to affect the quarterback. What does Travon Walker bring that Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't? And I can tell you a lot of things that Kayvon Thibodeau brings that Travon Walker doesn't. People are like, oh, Kayvon Thibodeau has some attitude concerns about football. No, he doesn't. You get him in, like, yes, a lot of people have attitude issues if they go to a shitty team, but good players are going to go to shitty teams. So, like, yeah, maybe he won't gel well with Jacksonville if they don't get the freaking locker room right. But if he went to any of the other teams that have a half-decent culture, that wouldn't be an issue at all. You don't think Travon Walker would go to a Jacksonville and then get upset when he's the third pass rusher initially because he's not that talented? Not that talented. No. He's not that versed in pass rush moves. He's not going to get upset. He's not getting more production. He's not getting more snaps. The team's not that good. Like, just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't hate Travon Walker. He's a second-round pick. Yeah, if you took him in late first, I'd be happy with it. If, like, say, the Bills or the Packers or the Chiefs or even, God forbid, the Bucks took Walker in the second round, late first, I'd be fine with it. But you cannot, if he gets drafted first overall, like, it's a D plus at best, probably an F. I'd probably smack it with an F instantly, because why the hell in this top-heavy, not even top-heavy, it's just an amazing edge class with some of the best edge prospects we've seen inside, like, since, like, Chase, we had Chase Young, Myles Garrett. These guys are up there with them, if not better, prospect-wise. You would rather take Travon Walker over those guys. Why? And if you're gonna not take those two, why not take, like, Evan Neal or there's no argument you can make for Travon Walker as the number one overall pick that doesn't not make sense to me. Oh, anyway, that's just, I had to rant. This is exhausting, and I hope Travon Walker has a great career and proves me wrong, but, like, this is just annoying. I can't. Someone come, please explain. I have a whole nother rant with Devontae Wyatt out there that maybe I'll record, but, like, I heard this stuff, and it's been brewing all day, and it's just like, I can't think of any trait that Travon Walker brings that you couldn't get Kayvon Thibodeau at the number one overall pick. Or Aiden Hutchinson. Immediate impact. Kayvon Thibodeau, higher ceiling. This is why sometimes I hate the combine. But that's a whole different argument, because they just inflate people's draft profiles artificially. Find me, like, half the amount of true pass rush sets that Travon Walker took that show him at an equivalent level to Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau. I dare you. Whew. Okay, I guess I'm a Travon Walker hater now. Sorry, Travon. You're probably a great guy. I think you're a good football player. I think you're a great football player. But apparently I'm a hater now, so that's it.